guys, because it caused you guys to kind of dip a little bit at the same time, but then you've risen back up. Kind of talk about that whole process.
Well, I mean, number one, obviously in Boone County, there's 4 high schools, so, you know, how good would it be if we had 1 high school, you know, so we always talk about those types of things, but, you know, the opportunity to coach against guys in Boone County and have the opportunity to do the things that we did this year, we were obviously happy with it. But Cooper had a great year. Obviously, those guys would have probably been with us had Cooper not been created. So, you know, it is a great thing because it does give us a chance to go back down to 5A and compete at a little bit different level, but we still play all those same teams. So, you know, year in and year out, it's going to be competitive. They all play in the Pee Wee League together. Cooper has branched out a little bit with some new things in terms of their 7th and 8th grade program, but you know, those guys grow up together, they're around each other, and the competition at level every year is going to be the same as it was this year.
Okay, you guys only had 3 losses, but they were by a total of 11 points, so that meant obviously you were in games every single week. Just kind of talk about just being in the trenches every week and making sure, you know, you guys were 11 points away from a perfect season, theoretically. You could have moved on past that. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, ifs and buts, all that kind of stuff. But you have to feel good about your team in retrospect as far as being in every game and the possibility of making that state championship run.
I mean, there's no doubt. We had some marquee wins. Obviously, we beat Cooper, which they were a state finalist, which was something that could never be taken from us. You know, we beat Cupcake, which is something we hadn't done in a while because, you know, we hadn't played them up until the year before that. So there's a lot of positives, a lot of things that we've done that we can build on, and we just continue to get better. So, you know, these 2 guys next to me are guys that have done some great things. One of them's back. I wish I had the other one back for next year, but, you know, we'll take what we got from here and we'll continue to compete and get out there.
Okay, kind of talk about, before we kick it over to your quarterback, Drew Barker, I mean, this is a guy that's nationally recruited. I mean, you hear about him on the ESPN, you know, ESPN 150s, Elite 11s. As a coach, kind of talk about what you have to do to kind of filter out all the noise to make sure that it doesn't cause problems within your program, because that's a great thing to have great players, as all coaches know, but it can cause the other thing that coaches dislike the most, and that's distractions.
Well, I mean, number one, you have to have somebody that's a high-character person that can handle that, and Drew can handle it, you know. Number 2, Drew and I don't talk a whole lot about it. You know, that's his gift, and you know, I concentrate on Connor football, and that's what it's all about, and that's what he understands and he gets it is, you know, if he has a question or he needs some advice, then he knows I'm there, and I can give him some insight on it because I have done the college tour. But, you know, the bottom line is that's something that he needs to make the decision on. It's enjoyable, it's fun, but in terms of what we do Connor-wise, we'll continue to do that.
Okay, and then just quickly, without Cameron Vogel, but you still have Drew Barker, kind of just give just a general kind of what you've got coming back, you know, without going into too much detail. You gotta like what's coming back next year.
Well, I mean, obviously Cameron Vogel is hard to replace. You know, he did everything. He played everywhere. He was on the field all the time. And I mean, if he could have served the water, he would have. But, you know, from our standpoint, skill-wise, we've got some guys coming back that we feel pretty good about. So we've been in a way we're getting after it, and we'll see what happens.
All right, congratulations, Coach. Let's kick it over to none other than Drew Barker, the quarterback returning for his senior year next year. And Drew, you led an offense, is that right, 40.7 points per game, scored at least 31 points 10 times. I mean, and the thing is, you, just looking at your skills and watching your tape, I see a classic drop back in the pocket quarterback, but you rushed for quite a bit number of yards. Kind of talk about your versatility for us.
You know, it's a part of Dave Trosper's offense. You know, he makes the defense play 11-on-11 football. You know, it makes it a lot harder for the defense to game plan when a quarterback can tuck it down and run it, because you can't play, you know, in a pre-event kind of defense and just try to stop the passing game, because, you know, I can just take it down and run it. So, you know, it causes a lot of problems, and, you know, it definitely has been a good thing for us.
Okay, now you're just a junior, so you can't make a commitment to a college. Obviously, you're highly recruited, and I'm not going to try to ask you about, you know, who are the favorites and all that stuff, because I'm not here to break a story. However, talk about the process. Talk about receiving the letters and the messages from schools that everybody watches on Saturday.
Yeah, it's definitely an awesome experience. You know, it's a blessing to be, you know, in the position that I'm in right now. You know, I couldn't really do it without my parents, Coach Trosper, and my teammates. You know, because essentially they're the ones that make me look good. You know, I mean, it's a great experience, but you know, like Coach Trosper said, once during the football season, I don't really bring it to the football team. You know, I just worry about coming to practice and making everybody better and making myself better.
All right, that's called being a good teammate. And you know, when you're the best player on the team or second best, whatever, that's the best thing you can have. And you know, I'm a basketball guy, man. You're on the basketball team. Kind of tell me about how basketball helps out for playing football.
You know, it definitely helps out with your footwork. You know, I've had some colleges come watch me play basketball just to see how my footwork and stuff like that. But you know, I still go in every morning and lift, and I'm still throwing in the morning for football. So I mean, I'm basically doing the lift at the same time. So it's kind of a good deal.
All right, thanks a lot there, Drew. Move it over to Cameron Vogel. Cameron Vogel, here's our guy here. Talked about you being a running back. Talk about you being a wide receiver. Talk about you punt returning, kick returning. I think you were a kicker. Coach talked about you selling popcorn. The one thing I didn't see you do, and that's win Homecoming King Award, and I was there to film it, and I was highly disappointed. Talk about how crushing it was that you were the 4th runner-up or 3rd runner-up for Homecoming Queen. Homecoming King, 3rd runner-up. I mean, come on. That had to be disappointing. That had to crush your season, obviously.
The only reason I was on the homecoming board is because of him.
Because of who? Coach? Is that a rib or what?
I represent the football team, and I didn't want to do it even.
And it's funny because we were all, as the media, filming this stuff, and we're all saying, you know, Coach Trosper is probably chafing right now because this guy's not in the locker room right now listening to that speech because, again, about distraction. So you're just going to kick it back on him.
Yeah, what's his fault?
All right. Cameron, now that we've had enough fun with you, man, obviously you had one of the best seasons in all of Northern Kentucky, you know, recent memory. You know, you're on the field literally every play. You're playing offense, defense, special teams. Kind of talk about the endurance and how tiring that can be when you've got to reach down for that will to stay out there and not beg off.
It gets exhausting. But it helps whenever you have guys on your team like we had this year that can step up and make a play at any time in the game.
All right, now Shu pretty much asked you every other question I could have thought of, but let's talk about your senior. Kind of talk about the recruiting process and where that's taking you.
I'm really only talking to 3 schools right now: UK, UC, and Moorhead. I just took a visit to Moorhead. My next visit is to UC in February, so we'll see what happens.
That's kind of interesting because that's 3 kind of different levels of football. You know, you've got Moorhead as what used to be called the 1AA level. You've got UC that's really established in kind of in a BCS league, but it's not seen as a football powerhouse. And then you've got Kentucky, and obviously what is called the best league in college football, but it's kind of down right now. So kind of talk about, you know, I'm not asking you to declare a favorite or whatever. Just talk about the different levels and where that comes across in your mindset.
Well, obviously it'd be cool to play any level of college football, but it'd be really cool to play for UK just to say you played in the SEC. It'd be cool to play for UC just to, because they're in the top 25 every year for like the past 5 years, and it'd be pretty cool to play Moorhead. They play for all 4 years or 3 years or whatever, so it doesn't really matter to me whichever place that would guarantee me to get me on the field basis.
And what are they looking for you position-wise?
UK and UC, they were looking at me to play defense, but whenever they got their new coaching staff, now they're all 3 looking at me to play offense, slot receiver.
All right, well, appreciate your help there. Cameron Vogel, Coach Dave Trosper, Drew Barker, the Connor Cougars, they went 9-3 this season. Let's give them a big round of applause.